Orchard 1. Jasmin. Wow, too many commits. So, theme, then Zoltan. Implementing configurable password policy, so we talked about it on Thursday. It was a long conversation for the changes we wanted to do, and now it's been merged into dev. Okay. The idea is now there is a feature you can enable to be able to define the minimum password length, and if you don't do that, it will still be the same, which is 7. And if you want to change it, you enable this feature, and then you can change it from 7 to anything. You can define how many, no, if you want uppercase or lowercase chars, if you impose to have numbers or special chars, and that's it. And also you can define how long the password will be valid for, like 30 days, and after that you will be asked to change your password. I don't see it in the details, but it's there.
So is this a configurable set of policies or even replaceable? For example, well, it says minimum password length, password should contain uppercase, lowercase. Is that hard-coded, or is that a rule that can... Okay, great.
There's a view on the settings for users where you can define the values from the settings.
Right, but these rules, they cannot be replaced by another module, for example?
No, it's the module provides it. No, it's part. Well, I don't know. It's in the users module, so.
All right. Okay. For the one use case scenario, for example, that could be added by other modules is, for example, password retention policy, which would not be enabled by this implementation.
What is password retention?
Well, for example, if a password expires after, some companies, they want a policy where password expires after.
This is it. This contains that password expiration time in days. It also contains that.
It's all inclusive. All right.
The only thing that doesn't contain is locking a password after multiple failures.
Okay. And this is good, of course, but I'm wondering if there would be any other special scenarios which you know, that you would want to inject, but maybe those would be more edge case anyway.
One of the examples, in fact, one of the projects that I'm going to be working on in the future will be doing multi-factor authentication for people who are members of certain groups.
Right. Yeah.
For example, if you're a member of an admin or an advanced group, it would require you to do multi-factor.
So you see, maybe it will be an idea to make this.
Yeah, but it will depend on each module. So this module might get it added, and that will, yeah. It's very hard to make authentication modules extensible by other modules. This one is very specific, so this module will be enhanced, and maybe we'll get two-factor auth. I don't know.
Okay.
So theming, and Lombic. Fixing a debug log was created even in release mode. Interesting. Okay, doesn't seem bad. but I hope it was not on purpose that it was there. Okay, otherwise theming. Good. Orchard 2. Question about that? Orchard 2. 7 days.
Oh, Steve Taylor, he asked me to get get our feedback on a design that he's been working on. Maybe we can go over that also.
When did you ask?
He just asked me on Skype. He's unable to attend the meeting at this point.
Which design?
The New Orchard Project website. He's been working on the New Orchard Project website. He created a new draft or a sketch.
New since when? Because or maybe you have the information that I don't have.
Yeah. He just sent me this on Skype. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, because I hadn't.
No. He just last week. Really, literally just a few seconds ago.
Yes, if you want, let's do the Orchard 2 status and then we can talk about it.
Sure, yeah.
Where was it? Here. So last week, parsing JSON files, this I showed, okay? The way that now you can have something like this. This will be the new placement JSON files. Place, and you can also have tabs and other constraints, everything at the same level. There are pros and cons, but it can be also simpler this way. We'll see. So this was last week. No change on that. Then what is that? This is probably committing the work. Fixos Shahid Khan is committing some fixes to the unit test so that they pass one by one. You will see like 3 or 4 PRs from him fixing one test at a time. Add portable debug info used by VS Code from Jean-Thierry. Background tasks. Yeah, this was on my task list, so I implemented background task and it looks like this. Background task is a set of where is background task? Orchard.background task. I can't find it. It's not in the solution. Okay. One sec. That's weird. Orchard SRC web. It's not modules. It's there. That's weird. I can't find it. Where is that? Oh, it's there. It's not in the correct location. Okay, I'll fix it. So background task and background task abstractions. So background task abstraction, there are some changes, okay? First, I implemented, you will see this thing, the notion of group, like there is an open issue on Orchard 1, but I did that in Orchard 2. We could backport the code. A background task attribute that you can optionally add to a background task, and you can define a group. And a group will define will make a background task part of another set of background tasks to be run on the same frequency with the same period. Like every 5 minutes, all of these tasks from the same group will be executed. And maybe you want another group to run only 1 hour. and all these tasks will be run under 1 hour. So the group could be frequent, infrequent, and very, very infrequent. Okay, and then you can define which periods you want for each of them. The idea being that maybe you want some background task to be run independently, or you want a custom group so that this task is not blocked by any other one. Because inside a group, background tasks are blocked, are synchronous, like the first executes, and then the second, and then the third. And this group every 5 minutes, for instance. So to implement one, you just implement iBackground task, and there is a method called doWork. It's not sweep anymore, I called it doWork. We can name it, but first I thought it would be better. A background task can be and should be a singleton, and doWork receives the service provider to execute it from and a cancellation token. The service provider is because every background task is executed inside its custom container and its custom lifetime scope. Okay, so there is no, so you have to take care of, to think about it. And cancellation token, in case the application shuts down, we can provide a cancellation token so that the task can stop its execution.
So what do you mean you have to think about it? Because isn't it true that you'll get provided a service provider for the correct lifetime scope?
The instance of the background task will be a singleton.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So you should use the service provider and not inject one unless you want it to be a singleton.
So you don't inject one. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Because it's a singleton, you can't inject it because you. So the idea is that the task itself is a singleton, but the execution is done multiple times.
Yeah.
And every time you get executed, you are in a new scope with a new transaction, with a new connection and everything.
Sure.
This is why you should not resolve iService provider on the iBackground task, otherwise you will not be able to use that. And this is why we pass it now to doWork.
Yeah, that's very clever, because then it currently in Origin 1 you have to know what the nature is of the class that you're implementing or the interface that you're implementing, and then you can create bugs by injecting the dependencies from a different lifetime scope if you're not careful.
And also now you can even save some state because it's a singleton, and you can have some per execution also things, and it should be powerful. And there is no more I don't know why it was called coordinator or whatever. So I made an iBackground task service, which is the one that will manage all the background tasks. You need to implement activate and terminate. But well, you will never implement iBackground task service. The default implementation will do that. Get task. Oh, what I did on the service though is terminate. So activate is called by the default host, the Orchard host, to say you can start background task. Terminate is here to say you should stop background tasks because I'm shutting down. Get tasks is to get a list of all the running tasks, and you get a list of a dictionary of background tasks and their background task state. Okay, and you will see what the state is. And set delay is a way to configure a group for a specific period of time. And a background task state is either idle, like there is nothing, it's waiting for the next schedule running because it's currently doing something. Stopped, meaning the task is currently stopped, so it's not even idle, it won't run again. Like before activate is called on iBackground task service, or when terminate is called, then it's stopped. When it's waiting for the next timer, it's idle. The goal is that to make it on the interface is that we can provide a UI with all the running background tasks and to show where it is now. It's running or it's idle, like waiting for the next period. It will be useful to have a UI. So the default implementation is in background task here. The background task starter is just implementing the iOrchard shell events so that we know that Orchard has started. We resolve the background service and we say activate. Okay, and we can do terminate also on terminating. I haven't done that yet, but This is how it should be done. And an example is in the demo project. It's very simple. And this thing should be orchard independent. It's almost, yeah, this thing is orchard dependent, okay? But we could remove it and put it only in orchard. And otherwise, everything can be used in MVC, it will work. Yeah, and yeah, it works. I will show you. So I won't show you. I will just show you the code. A demo. I have a services and a test background task. So you just implement iBackground task, and you just reference the abstractions project, and you say do work, and then you are called every minute. In this case, this is the default every minute for a group because I didn't add it to a group. But if you want to add it to a group, you can just say background task and a group name like default or whatever. Okay. Yeah. So do work, and here is just counting, incrementing count. That was just a test. So just to show that this thing is a singleton, so count will be kept while orchard is living, and then count plus plus whenever do work. And it's not reentrant. So if one of the do work of a group is longer than the period, then the next period won't be started again. It will just wait for all the background tasks in a group to be done to then restart in the next period. That's background task. Yeah. Oh, and obviously to be able to use background tasks, we call add background task, and orchard host is doing that by default. It's adding background task. It's calling that automatically. It says, you see, oh, we need resource management, we need background task, we need data access, we need defer task, and so on. So any MVC app could, or any ASP.NET Core app could use background task like this one. So that's it. Then supporting version resources, very cool. I love it. You remember the discussion? Chris is here, I think. Chris is here. Yeah, so we had a discussion last week about what to do with versioning in N resources. Oh, Bertrand is back. Welcome back, Bertrand. You should sleep right now, no? It's time to go to bed. So resources. Let me show you what's the result of the discussion we had last week. As a reminder, the question that I had, because I implemented Resource Manager last week, but then the question was what to do with version. What is the purpose of set version on Orchard one? And it was not it was an actual question like why what do you use it for? And so Chris told me that told us that it was in case there were two manifests declaring the same jQuery resource, then it will pick up the latest one. I agree. This is what the link query was doing. It will get all the resources of the same name and then get the latest version. But then I implemented it, and I figured it's not actually doing that in Orchard 1. It's because the issue is that when you define the second time the resource jQuery, it will override the first resource. So even though the link query was taking the last one, the code itself would override any existing named resource. So the behavior was not exactly that. It was the last manifest was winning. Maybe it's a bug actually, and we should fix it. But it needs a different implementation. The data structure is not supporting multiple named resources with the same name. So this is what I did then in Orchard 2. And for versions now, let's look at how you can use it in my demo project. So yeah, and the idea of last week's discussion was let's use versions so that dependencies can depend on specific other versions. Where do I want to look for that? In index. So I made my page here much more complex in terms of resources. For those who haven't seen the Resource Manager in Orchard 2, this is how it looks like. You define a meta and you say ASP-name, which will enlist the meta tag into the resource manager. I'm in a view, okay? I'm not in the layout in the header. I'm in a view. I can say, with this view, I want to render a new meta in the header later. And you can concat them. So if you say the same name, they will be concatenated using comma, but you can also define the char that you want to use if you want to concatenate. Then here, inline definition, it's like a manifest, but without a manifest. From this view, I want to define blitz, which is blitz.min and blitz.js, no version associated. I want to define baz, and you see here, I'm adding the version in the URL just to be sure what version it took. Baz, and I say baz is version 1.0, but I also define baz version 2.0. So here we are defining the same resource name, baz, but with two different versions and two different set of scripts. Then foo in version 1.2.3. 1 will depend on baz 1.0. So foo v1 depends on baz 1.0. Foo v2 depends on baz, whatever version, like the latest, and blitz. And foo v3 depends on baz, whatever version, but not blitz. So now you can see in a script, you can define the resource name, you can define its resources, and you can define its dependencies with or without the version numbers. So I could say here baz 2.0 if I want. Okay. Or 2.1. It will try to find, based on what you define the latest discriminator, it will try to find the one compatible with this one. So if you ask for 1.3, it will take whatever 1.3.star. If you define 1.0, it will take whatever 1.anything. So .0 means star in this case. Because we have to define a version with at least two numbers here. So that's it. And then here you see, I want foo version 2. So foo version 2 will inject baz, the latest version, which is 2.0, and blitz. So let's try that. This is not what I wanted. I can just say start. And this is from the view, but from the manifest is exactly the same thing. You can depend on something and define a version, like before, the same API. What do I have after? Test, cleaner, and Boolean field. So yeah, Antoine pushed Boolean field. I show him to understand how it works. He found some bugs that I fixed after, and I also simplified the Boolean field. Now Boolean field is just label, and that's it, and a hint. Checkbox. It's just a checkbox right now. Not 3 state or label for on off, just checkbox. Okay, so now if I go to the home index, I might have many breakpoints. Very slow. Skype. For those who were not there last week, this resource manager is again has no dependency at all on Orchard. It can be used in any ASP.NET Core or MVC because there are tag helpers you can see here. App. It's very slow. Did I break anything? Maybe IntelliTrace is re-enabled again. Nope. later. Boolean. Yeah, let me show you the Boolean field, just to show you how to make fields. Content fields. So you need to first define the field. Okay, you just inherit from content field, very simple, value. Text field is just string text. You can define settings by just having a POCO, hint and label. You define a driver, actually two drivers. The content field driver just so that the system knows there is a field. Okay, just to declare the field, to make it available to the system, and a display driver to explain how to render the field. Okay, so maybe you could just have a display driver for an existing field you don't want to declare, and you pose it. And you see it's very simple. When you implement display driver of Boolean field, it will be called just for this Boolean, and you define the shape you want to return for edit and what to do on update, which properties you want to update. So it's very simple. And it didn't work. Why do I have the same icons everywhere? That's weird. I will build at the same time, but you trust me, it works. I tried it. This thing works. And the rest was just for styles, and we saw that custom scripts, well, inline scripts and custom scripts, and that works. Everything works. So resource manager works. Now, questions about it before we go to Steve's websites. Why background task must be singleton? It must be singleton because because the background task is running all the time your application works. And I think it's better to, you actually have the two of them. You have the possibility, well, because it's singleton, you can have a constant state shared across all the executions, and each execution runs into a separate scope, which means you have the same benefit as it not being a singleton. So you have the best of both worlds. So there is just better. If it was not a singleton, then you could not share state across instances, or you will have to inject the memory cache or create your own custom state, a singleton service that you will resolve every time. So it's not a bad thing.
I have another idea regarding background task.
Okay.
We currently have background service, which run the task, and we have background task, and background task should be singleton. Why not background task register a method into the background service, and instead of having do work, have a, I don't know, register method, something like that. In this case, we don't need to restrict the background task to run. Currently, if we have a background task, it runs from the beginning until the end. But in this case, we can register and unregister the background tasks.
I see. So, okay. So it will be an implicit call, register background task. Okay. Well, that's another model, but
it's just an idea. I wanted to.
I don't think it's a design of what we use for background task. It's really something that we want to run in the background and all the time at specific periods. What you are saying here is more like jobs queue, like you want to enlist a job and then it's done. No?
Ah, I see. Yeah, true.
And we also have jobs queue module, like we will do in Orchard too. And yeah, and we have three different services actually for that. We have the deferred task, which is a Lambda you can register for the end of the request, and it will be run once, but only at the end of the request. This is deferred task, and it's already implemented. In Orchard 1, it's called processing task, and in Orchard 2, it's called deferred tasks, and there is a module for that. ID for task engine, you resolve that and you say add task. And you can pass any lambda. And it will be run at the end of the request in its own context, in its own scope. So this is the first thing. Then there is background task, which is a lambda or a do work function that is run periodically in the background all the time, as long as Orchard lives, like for indexing stuff, like for, I don't know, cleaning data. And then we have, and we will have, we have it in Orchard 1, it's called jobs queue, which is some tasks that are run based on the availability on the server. It's like a queue of things to do. You can have like 1 million items to be being pending, and then they will be run as fast as the server can do that, with a priority. So, I think with these 3 items, we cover all the background jobs that you could imagine.
Yeah, that's quite cool.
Sipke, you share? Well, I add you as a presenter.
Yeah.
When you want, I can stop presenting.
All right. So Steve asked me to get your guys' feedback on his current design. He hasn't told me about any of his thinking, so we should just look at how we think it looks in terms of, I suppose, the location of the menu, the look and feel.
No.
I'll make notes.
This is not. No, I mean, this is not what he meant with this screenshot, because in all his discussion he had during the meeting, this was not what the Orchard website front page would look like at all.
So maybe not the front page, but the getting started page then.
Oh, okay. So the getting started section, okay. So the menu will drop from the top to the left, or it's a contextual menu?
It's a good question. This seems to be a static menu, if you will. Which, I mean, by that I mean it's always there at the left, and then it has submenus. So as you browse through the site, this would remain static.
Okay, so this is a question we have to ask him. What is the menu on the left compared to the menu on the top, which is not here and disappeared? Because he sent us the, I can give it to you by Skype. Where is that? The one from last week. I lost it. Deleted it, probably. Yep, I don't have it anymore. Yeah, he sent us the mock-up of the homepage, which we agreed on, and everyone...
Yeah, it looks like it's the homepage, the new homepage.
No, it's not the homepage. It's nothing to do with... No. I can find it in my Skype. 1 second.
All right.
Steve Taylor, design. Can I drag and drop to you? No.
But you can drag and drop it into the chat.
Yep. But because you're sharing.
But you are a presenter, so you should be able to drag and drop into the chat.
You are sharing.
Then it's an attachment.
So we can all see what you see.
All right.
This is the only screenshot you got?
Yeah, I just sent one.
Okay, so open this one. So then I don't know the context. We need more context to understand this page.
Okay.
I sent you the file.
Oh
no, I sent it to Steve Taylor, which doesn't make sense. Okay. Yep, sent it. But
did you send it?
Oh, you want on this Skype? I sent it on the other Skype.
Oh, that's fine as well.
It's faster.
There you go.
Just click.
Did you forget to talk about the concept of
no
prime versus
after? But you wanted to show something, so I let you show something. So this is what the home page looks like. You see, it has nothing to do, and this is what we agreed upon last week.
Oh, right. Okay. So this, I see. I wasn't there, but so this is the home page, and then once you click on
there is getting started. This is
yep.
okay. This is okay. So probably this is it.
Yeah.
And then the menu goes on the left, but yeah, it's different. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad.
Nope. Is it? That's okay.
Yeah.
Just questions about what to do with the top menu. It disappears apparently.
Yeah, that's a good question. What happens with home?
Okay.
What will happen? Yeah, what happens? Yeah. Okay.
Good.
Any other feedback?
It's not done yet?
No. But it's getting close.
Yeah, I will ping him on Skype.
Okay.
Good.
All
Thank
right. Cheers. Thank
you. I will start presenting again because I have a topic. I showed you on the status demos. No, this is this one. Site. Okay. So last week, yes. So I worked on placement, versioning in resources. I did background tasks, and then I reached almost all the. If I go to Orchard 2, as a reminder, there's a wiki. And there is a page called Roadmap, which is, okay, let's put everything we know we want in Orchard 2, which is actually Orchard 1, but in a list with some milestones. And the milestones for the alpha version just needed background tasks, placement, and resource manager. So done. And I'm like, we need recipes, which is based on Nick's work, and adding theme, guidelines, central navigation, but I was not in the mood of working on that. So I took some time to think about the next step and some modules like projections, how to do projections with SQL and Orchard 2. Are there issues we need to fix in projections? There are. Are there things we want to remove? Localization, so there is a discussion on with Sergio and Urban IT. Crap, don't say anything. What's his name? Sotiris, about localization and taxonomies, very interesting, and also Jasmin. So a French guy, a Canadian guy, a Greek, and a Spanish. We should fix localization, and we all love taxonomies. So taxonomy is a very interesting example because if taxonomy works, everything works. And then I was okay. How do other CMSs fix that? And I looked at based on the current trends. Craft CMS is one of the fastest growing usage CMS, and I created a demo site for that, and there are very interesting things in this CMS, and I wanted to show it to you if you're okay with that, because I think they solve some issues very nicely. So Craft CMS, if I can find this, admin password. It's a brand new test Craft CMS instance. So I didn't change anything from the demo you get when you go on the website, craftcms.com, and you create a default website. Craft CMS has a free version, which is limited in terms of features, but you can buy professional versions to get all the features. It's done in PHP. Yes, but modern PHP. And it has also the notion of plugins. It doesn't have the notion of themes. There is not a theme in Craft CMS. When you instantiate it, you have nothing. You have to create a template to render anything. At the same time, well, this is fine for them, and they don't support multi-tenancy, so they don't really need theming. They need to be able to theme a website, not to be able to switch themes. Please interrupt me if there are questions. Not this one, this one. I can hear someone breathing, maybe Sipke. Yeah, that must be Sipke. Sorry. Usually when I hear someone breathing, it's because they have a question, so I need to interrupt myself to ask for the question. So, where was I? So what is interesting, when you go, dashboard is a dashboard like we have, okay, like Sipke made, beautiful. And the default widgets they have is to create content and recent entries. So we know, we understand what it is, okay, not a big deal. Entries is like our content items. The main difference is that they organize their content items in what they call sections. Sections, you can see it as a group of items, of content items, but not just that actually. So you create sections in their site and in the CMS, and then you can add content items to the sections. One section is called singles, which is a built-in section based off all the autonomous pages. Like we have a page content type. This is the same thing. It's a page with a URL source log. Okay, and when you click on one, you can edit it, and you will see it's almost like Orchard. Okay, but there is something weird here because there is lots of new section, gallery, text, image, so it's not organized as in Orchard. Actually, it's not what you could think, but it is actually. I will show you why. So heading and body, like us. So heading is just a string, and body like our body part. Okay, same thing. And I go back to entries. So remember I said there were sections. Section singles is a type of section actually. A section is not only to organize the content, but it's also to organize a section as a type, a subtype. A section can be a single, like a list of single pages. It can be a channel, like a blog, a list of items, ordered items, a flat list of ordered items, like a blog post, like a blog made of blog posts, like news they have here. You see, news is a channel section, which means all the entries are single, but part of the news. They are all of the same type. And you could also reorder them. If you can reorder them, they are ordered. But post date, yes, if you say, no, not here. So no, it's just a list of items, okay, like a blog post. And then you have a section called what they call structure, which is a section where all the items inside can be ordered. I need to click that. Can be ordered, and can also be a hierarchy. So you can edit the section to say, I'm allowing a hierarchy of things. It's not just a list, it can be a hierarchy. So you could put this content item under the other one. Okay, it's just a way to organize the content item together. Okay, and it's also interesting because in the navigation here, you can pre-filter the content items you want to see. This is why the section name is interesting, I think, because you can group content items. And here they are grouped. It's when you create them, they are in the group, but yeah, you can create new groups and move them to other groups. That's interesting. So that's the first thing I wanted to mention, the sections here. And you have the notion, globals is just fields you have at the site level. Assets is like media library. You have a list. Okay, and yeah, each item you can edit and change the file. You have, they call it also file transformations. It's like our profiles. You have, you can create folders, but they are logical folders of things. So we have the same thing. Okay. Users, nothing special. Settings, this is where you edit all your content and types and section and everything. Fields, so they also have the notion of creating custom content types. And what they call content types, they call actually sections. Well, they don't call section. You create content types in section, we'll see. But they have the notion of fields, like we do. The difference is that for us, a field exists only attached to a part or a content type. Okay, and is owned by the part of the content type. In their case, you create fields, instances, that you group. Okay, these are groups of fields. And I can create a group called my fields. Okay. It's there, and I can add a field inside a group. So a field for them is not attached to anything yet. You create a field, and this way, because it's not attached to anything, you can reuse it across content types. So you group your fields. So there is a field called address, which is just plain text with some settings. Okay, contact methods, it's just, or matrix is complex. So, but you can create as many fields as you want, and then when you create a type, so let's look at address, for instance. The address field has a name, a technical name, and just say which kind of field do you want. Oh, it's a plain text. Okay, that's it. And some settings for this text, exactly like us. But for us, this screen will be when we know to which content type we want to attach it. Here is just, no, there is a field named address of type plain text. That's it. And then when we go to the settings, and we go to the sections, and we go to create, or to have a section called services, and in this section, it says which, okay, this is just the settings of a section, but here we can edit the type of content types can be added to the services section, and there is a services content type. And this content type, when you click on that to edit it, you can add fields like us, but you add fields from all the available fields of the different groups. So remember, I didn't create any field in my field group, but there is a contact info group of fields which contains the address field, and you can drag and drop the address field on the content type, and you define also the order this way. But the address field can be reused across different types. Okay, so you're actually sharing, for us it's like sharing the settings on a field across different content types. Please interrupt me if you have questions, okay? And again, I'm showing it to you because I think there are some things that we could, that will solve some issues we have, and I will explain it after. But just to show you that the concepts here, a field is already defined and you can add it to different content types. What is interesting in this screen is that when you add the field, you are also defining the placement in the editor, okay? So you are moving fields around. In our case, we will have to go to the content type editor, and then we can also move things, and move things with parts and everything. But I don't often do that, so I'm not sure if anyone is, well, many are using it, but we don't often do that. Here, it's nice, but I'm not sure it adds a lot of usefulness to adding fields to a content type here. The nice thing is that you can reuse fields across content types, and you can create new tabs. So you can define the tabs you want and place them in different tabs. So when you go edit your content type, you will have different tabs and different fields. Okay? There is no notion of part here. Well, there is a notion of part, we'll see later. No, there is a notion of part, sorry. It's just fields. So you can add the same thing again and again and again. You can have, well, if you want two bodies, you need to create two fields, body 1, body 2, which is kind of weird also. You see, I can't add another body. I need to create a new body field called body secondary or whatever, and add it again on the second tab. Just to rename or to delete, that's it. Yep. Questions about this so far? They are, yes. They are parts, you're right. Because you can only add them once, you instantiate new parts, and yes, but I will come to that after. Actually, they are parts. Let me think.
So what do you hope to learn from analyzing this new software?
I've learned some things. I will go to the conclusions after. But I was thinking about the comment from Bertrand because it kind of kind of break what I wanted to say after. Maybe we'll see, because it's not. Well, it's complex. We'll see. Wait, I will come to it right after. Sorry. I leave that. I will go back to the entries now and to show you how to edit something. And I will edit the home page. Okay? I will open the home page first. Here. This is the home page. I will go over 1 o'clock. Sorry, but there are many things which are very interesting and have a huge impact on what we could do. So this is the home page. And you can find a menu, and when I click on services, this is just listing all the services which is in the services structure. How it's done is just they created a PHP file which grabbed all the services which were in a list. They go over it and they create the custom HTML here. Every page you see here is as a template. There is a file. It's not as dynamic as Orchard in terms of rendering and theming, but it's also very straightforward for a designer. They know that to render services, they need to create a file which will render the services. Okay, there is nothing magical.
Hey, Sebas. Yep. I think no one's seen your screen.
Since
your
when?
Presentation stopped. Since a few seconds, I think.
Okay, so you didn't miss anything. Thank you. Tell me if we are good. Yep, you should. Okay, so yeah, so to render the services, which is a structure section, you create a template, and the object you get is the model for the services, and you render the thing in pure HTML with some templating engine. Okay, but you don't reuse anything. You create from scratch, and it works very well. But what is interesting here, if I click on home page, and this is the first thing I think we should do in Orchard because it's very simple to do. So you see the tabs here, content, and you could add more tabs. You see there is a side section with some metadata and the things we have. Enabled for us is published or unpublished. And there is a live preview. And you know how much I hate live editing. But live preview is interesting, and people have asked all the time, I need to see a live preview of the things I'm editing, okay? And what they did is simple and clever, and I think we should have it. If I click on live preview, ignore the nice video effects, this is the currently rendered page, okay? This is the current editor, this is the editor, but the page here is in an iframe, okay? The thing here is just the editor and the iframe on the right. What is it displaying? It's displaying for us, in terms of Orchard, the preview controller action of the current content item. So it's just rendering the preview of the current content item. Okay, we can do that. And then whenever there is a change on the left side, let's do that. I need to see some text I can change. Larry Page, I type 2, and you see on the right, I see 2. Okay, I remove the text, backspace, I don't touch anything, it's updated. So what is happening is that on every keystroke, or every n seconds on the left, it's actually creating a draft, always the same draft. And this thing is always displaying this draft version. So it's very simple to implement in terms of what we have to do in Orchard, right?
So a draft as in a new record or updating the last draft?
I would say a new record, a custom draft, a preview draft. Okay? But it could also be for us on to save on the draft.
Wouldn't that potentially create a... Wouldn't that create a lot of unnecessary draft records if that is after the each control changes focus?
No, we can always. It's like on publish. When we do publish,
okay. So you need to click a button.
Well, we don't have to, but we could have an item that we overwrite again and again and again without creating versions.
Yeah,
we are able to do that in the API.
Yeah, exactly.
So we could do that.
Best if you want to update a preview after leaving a control, because it's easy to create tens of records that way.
Whatever technique we use, yeah. But you see, the idea is very simple actually.
Yeah,
it's not inline editing. It's live previewing, which I prefer. Like so much times that it's because we still have the admin facing editor, which are designed for admin and won't collide with the front end, and we still have a nice interaction with the two. Okay.
Yeah, the implementation remains simple and it's just as useful.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's as useful, and it's useful for people to see what it looks like. No, we don't. The goal is not to create any more records, just one record that we update, and this one is made available. Like when we have a draft, whenever we have a draft and we save it 100 times the same draft, it's not creating any new record. It's updating the same draft record. It's not creating a version until we publish. When we publish, we create a new record, and the last one will become the last version. But it's like a draft. We could even update the draft and then revert back the changes, or I don't know, but we could have that. I think it's doable. And again, the same editor and you can resize it, because it's both interesting to resize because you get the mobile view, or you also get a better experience for editing your content. So it's cool, I think. We could even have a different window which refreshes itself automatically because it's in a specific mode, and we don't have to use the same window. But I mean, this is so simple to do based on what we have today that I like the idea. It's not inline editing, it's live editing. It's different. It's simple. So the first thing I think we should copy. It's very interesting. Everyone agrees with that? We need this now. Okay, Jasmine has started that. So if someone wants to start it, let's open an issue on the GitHub and talk about how we should do that and who is working on that, because this is simple and this will solve so many issues. And it's the front end theme. It's beautiful. I love it. I'd like to know what George will think about it if he's here. He's not here. Then. First thing. Second thing I want to emphasize on this tool. Layouts. They have layouts. You don't see it, but it's there. Maybe not on this page. Let me get another page. About us. Yes, about us. So I will go back, close my preview, go back to entries, leave. About, and I will open live preview again. This is my new favorite feature in Ortron that we don't have. Okay, and if I showed you the network, you will see there is some lag, and you can see exactly the request and downloading the full HTML and rendering it. So the about page is a heading, it's a body, and then you see the difference between this field, which is white background, and this one, which is gray background. Actually, the field here is called article body, and this is a field, okay, of type matrix. Matrix being the same thing as layout in Ortron. The difference is that a matrix field, when you edit the field itself, you define which types. I will use Ortron vocabulary. When you edit the matrix field, you define which kind of elements you allow in this matrix. Like they said, we allow heading, text, pull quote, image, gallery, quote, okay, things like this. These are elements in Ortron, okay? And when they define the field, they say you can add as many items as you want here. And it's not about drag and dropping, it's just saying, okay, add something above. And you will see how we think, and blah, 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 blah. It's added above. It's a heading, okay? And then I can reorder that if I click on the correct button. Okay, it's reordered. So live preview here shows exactly how it looks like, but the matrix is about defining a set of elements in not a grid, but in the on the layout, in a matrix, the hexagonal matrix, and they all flow unless an item knows it can go on the left, it can be centered, or on the right. And they will be organized based on the flow of the different elements. So you see here, I have an element on the left, an element on the right. But in the editor, this one is positioned on the left, this one is positioned on the right. If I wanted to put the full line, I say center. You see now it's center. This one is on the right. Okay, yes, because you wanted it. But if you want this one on the left and this one on the right, because this one is first, it will take the first line, but I can reorder them. And I change the order. So this is the same as the layout, but instead of being drag and drop into existing sections, it lets you, yeah, it's different. But this is exactly like the layout, okay? We could imagine that we have an item which is a row, and we move things in different rows, and in the row we can define what is the position of the row. If the row has four positions, then we can define where it is. I'm like, well, it's a different concept of that. It's also simpler to implement, and the big difference with layout here is that you get the editor as is. You don't need a second, a different editor for elements. You just use the field editor and you have the editor, and you see the editor directly. You don't need to click a button in the layout to see the editor. The editor is there. So there are pros and cons. The con being that you don't see the layouts as you will see on the front page on the editor. At the same time, because you have live preview, you see how it looks like in the front page. So if you want this on the left, you just click, oh, I want it on the left. If you want this after, or you want to add something else, you just, okay, let's add the section before. And you have a section. And you type, and you have it. Okay, so different solutions, but this is end goal.
Is there a way we can create maybe a different layout module so that you could have, you could have the traditional one and then maybe this new one?
Well, it's already there. You can already this new one. I mean, if this is editing the content in the layout, it's already supported because the elements have an edit part, so you can an edit method, so you can define an editor directly in the layout. In the layout module. So I'm not saying we need a new one. I'm just saying this is how they made it.
It's like I said, it's very interesting because a lot of what we do here is we don't get to see what it looks like until it renders because much of ours is graphs and not just text.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's the difference. But if we had our current layout with the live preview, it would be very hard to maintain, I think, because the layout will have to fit here, or we need a separate window. Well, it's just at least food for thoughts. It's interesting to see how they solve that, and it works. It's very easy to manage and to maintain something. Okay. It's also lacking an idea of containment. Yes. Containment. This is what I try to mention. It could have an element which is defining the rows. It's like a mini layout. You just add rows, and inside the rows you have these things. They are not on the left and on the right from each other. They're just top down, but there could still be the notion of containers.
But I do like it. It has several advantages from the point of view of pages that don't have lots of text on it, but they have lots of graphs and lots of images. So this would be much easier to edit. and to actually see what's going on because you have live preview.
Yep. And true representation of your elements that has little to do with actually probably. It's much larger, but I think where they win here is because they have live preview. Because when you have that, which doesn't represent the actual layout, but when you see the actual layout, then it fixes the limits from the left. So their editor is only good because you have the live preview. If you didn't have the live preview, good luck understanding what you just did. No way. Our layout editor is much better. But also we don't have live preview. So we need our layout editor. So that's why I think both solutions are good, have their advantage and their inconvenience. So, but I also like it.
Yeah, there's no way that you I mean, nothing prevents you from having both parts, a layout part and this kind of
matrix
part. Right?
We could have a matrix part like there's a layout part which will do that. This is totally doable. It's not
could even reuse the elements.
It can totally reuse the elements. You agree with me, Sipke? You start going where I want to go. So yeah, but this is interesting. You see, then okay. This was. I don't want to take too much time because there is something else I want to open as discussion. How does it work on mobile? I mean, how does the layout editor work on mobile? Good luck. Use the layout editor on mobile. This thing will work on mobile definitely. Do you agree, Bertrand? Yes, awesome. You see Bertrand's suggestion? I think this is the best solution. You could have a switch on the layout editor that switches to a linear layout with the editors online. This is the perfect solution. Then you have either the full layout as you want to see, or you can switch it to a vertical editor and then you see the editors directly from the elements. Because otherwise in the layout mode, on the layout part, showing the editors doesn't make sense. It's too small for each editor. But when you go on a vertical layout for the layout part, then you can see the editors. And you have both words. And you click with just a switch, it converts and it moves the items on the layout and you see exactly. That's beautiful. I think this is the best option. Thank you, Bertrand. You see, we missed you for 4 weeks. All these ideas we didn't have. So we need to. So someone will also open an issue. I saw Chris, you may want. Someone will open an issue to update the layout editor to a linear editing experience that will work with mobile and will work with live preview. Beautiful. So last thing, I think I like the idea, and I think we should have in Orchard, but this will take so long to talk and to. Yeah. So the idea is that. You see these things here: heading, section heading, section heading, text. Okay. They are actually based. All these things are just fields. Okay. A quote is just a field with a custom rendering. Everything is a field here. The image here is an image field and a caption field. So the image block, this is what they call block, is an image field and a caption field. Okay, the gallery is a block that is based on 3 images field. Okay, or an image field where they selected I only want 3 images. Okay, these are blocks, and I think they are an interesting concept, even if we had to port them in Orchard. What is a block? A block is like a field, but it's a set of fields. It's like a part, because a part can contain fields, but it's not limited to one instance. Okay, so a block is a set of fields, but all the fields are already have some settings. So when let's say we wanted the same concept in Orchard, This is what I want to go to. Let's say we create a concept like fields and like parts, but we call block, which is behaving between fields and parts. So you create a block and you can only add fields to it. You give a name to a block, like address. An address will be a good block because an address is reusable across my content types, like parts, but I can have many address blocks on a content type. And an address block is based on many fields which are already set up. I don't want, when I attach an address block to a content type, to have to redefine the settings of each of the fields of my address block. When I define a block, all the settings of the field are already pre-configured and reused across content types. When I attach a field to a part, every time I attach a part to a content type, I reset the settings for this for the part fields aligned to my content type. So this is, I think, something that we don't have in Orchard, and that could solve some issues. I remember, for instance, when Christian opened an issue mentioning that some fields, you want to reuse the settings of the field across the content types. So you want a way to be able to set some settings on the field, but attach it to many content types, like a part, but not have to reset the settings everywhere. Or if he says, now my addresses have 50 chars and no more 40, all the fields of type address should be able to be updated, and I don't want to go to all the content types to update the settings of the fields. So the block will be this missing abstraction that will freeze the settings of all its fields, and then I can reuse the block across different content types, but also many times in the same content type. I could have address 1, address 2, address 3, like shipping address, invoice address, but it's the same address block, okay, with the same field settings, and they are named. So I think it will be interesting to have it, at least in Orchard 2, as a new concept. This will solve many issues, I think. What do you think? So part will be an aspect of a content type. Okay. Block will be just content of content type that can be reused multiple times. It's not just once, it's many times if you want. And blocks are actually what Sipke made as elements, because these are that. Elements are just a set of fields that can be attached multiple times on the content item and are not version. They are version with the content item. It's a block. When Sipke made elements, it was actually blocks. Well, blocks are elements. But if we make it a first concept in Orchard, then we can reuse it everywhere. We can have parts, fields, and blocks. Did I lose everyone, or?
No, well, I'm here, and I think it makes a lot of sense.
When you think blocks, take the address example. I think it's very explicit of what it could be used for, and yeah, or a gallery. Like, okay, a gallery is just a set of images, and you can have multiple galleries in the content type. And in terms of implementation, it's very simple to implement a block. It's just, we could have it by code or dynamically like we have parts. It's just a part, but named part that we can attach multiple times. A part still has some meaning in how I see it, is that a part is an aspect of a content type. You can only plug it once on a thing. Like, it doesn't make sense to plug auto route multiple times. Or you will have to name things. They are named items, a block. It's not like a part.
So would you have a content part that is able to render the matrix editor, if you will, or the block editors, or block selectors?
Matrix part is different. It's matrix is just a way, like your layout, to add blocks/elements on the fly. Okay. What I'm saying is you could add a block to content type. I could add an address block to content type.
Right.
Yes. You define blocks, like I define an address block, which is made of different fields with settings. then my address is available for my content types. I can add paths, I can add blocks, I can add fields.
See. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And
it's just an additional,
yes. Yeah. And your layout can decide to render just blocks. That's fine. You can just decide to render blocks. It's okay, because today you just render elements. That's fine. Like the matrix decided to just render blocks. That's fine. Yes, multiple blocks, because part by definition is something you can only add once, because it only makes sense to be added only once. It's not named, it's an aspect. It's give me the something as something else. Give me the body part of something. Give me the auto route part of something. Not give me the auto route part name 1. No, give me the auto route part as something. Yeah, I know Bertrand won't like the idea because he doesn't like the already. I think I don't want to talk for you, but from what I know from you is that you don't like that there is so many distinctions between part and fields. Everything should be one thing. But it's just so in Orchard 2 is just how to constrain the model to have some behavior, because in the object, in the data model, everything is the same. It's just a property and a value. It's just a definition. We say, oh, this property is constrained by this logic, like, oh, you can only have one of these. Or the field, it has this data and this field editor. Field and part can't be the same. That's the issue. A field is named and can be added multiple times. A part is once, is part of the content item. A part can still have fields. A block will also have fields. I'm sure a block will have logic like a part. It's just the way you attach them to content types is different. It's like the verb like is, as, because fields technically they are not attached to content type, they are attached to a part. In the system. It's just visually we show fields directly to a content type, but they're actually attached to a part name of the content type. And when you attach the field to a part, every time you reuse the part, you will configure the fields on the content type, and it makes sense a lot. But blocks, the field settings are frozen with the block. So when you attach a block to a content type, you don't have to define the settings of the field. They are defined at the block level. This is also something which is very interesting. Yeah, but in Decent CMS there is metadata on that concept. Now if you take the object made of metadata plus the concept, then you could see some distinctions, like a part is some kind of metadata plus the field concept. A block is some kind of metadata plus the field concept. A field is some part of metadata plus some content concept. Yep. Yeah, take the addresses like StoryTC is explaining. Just imagine without the notion of block how you will do that. How do you create a customer type and you add multiple addresses which has many fields and reuse the address every time. You can't do a part. Or yes, you can do no, you can't do a part. And how Orchard 2 is done right now, all the notion of editor, update, display, definition is reusable and reused. So it's very easy to have a concept like blocks, and anyone could create another concept like something else than parts or fields or blocks. It can be anything with any constraint to how it behaves with constant types. Okay, it's 1:23 and much later for you also. So I just wanted to show you GraphCMS. There are things we can experiment on with that. It solves some issues. It also gives a lot of ideas. Live preview, what did I say? The matrix is interesting. So now we'll have a new mode in the layout, the matrix mode, flat mode, whatever. The blocks I think are interesting. I will go on the localization part of that because how they solve localization is also very nice. It's like what we did, plus the UI represent that much better than what we did. So maybe next week we can talk about localization. So Thierry and Sergio will come back for sure. And I want to show you how it's done in GraphCMS just to have some things to talk about. But just from what I showed today, feel free to open the bugs. We can continue discussion on the issues and think about it. Okay, great. Thanks everyone.